Okay. Not sure if my voice could go any squeakier, but I guess we'll see how the day goes. It's Monday. This is unusual for a Monday because I don't typically do my D&D planning on Mondays, but here I am. Mostly because we've got a bit of a schedule switch up, and that's why we're doing this today. Nothing wrong. It's just how it's gonna go. To better accommodate some other folks. So, hopefully this doesn't throw a wrench in too many people's plans. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, gosh, I guess I have some stuff to talk about. I've got some stuff to talk about. Some stuff I want to I want to make sure that I get done. We were actually able to play D&D this weekend, which was great. It was like the first time in a month. So I was really happy. And it went all right. It went all right. I definitely felt rusty. But you know, it is what it is. But nobody died, which is good. I think it's really about it. But yeah, we can kind of go over that. I'm trying to think of what all I actually want to tackle right now, and Concerned Whale Productions coming in with the raid. Thank you, Geo, for the raid. I appreciate that, mostly because you got me to watch my own stream. But thanks. I'm guessing you got tired of Solasta, which I need to. I want to go through and attempt to run at that. Yeah, see, there it is. Stream Elements has been a little slow lately. Ah, well. But yeah, thank you for the raid. Thank you for the host. Absolutely fantastic. I greatly appreciate that. No, just figuring out how you want to handle Mondays now. More of a test. Okay. Yeah, I'm literally just, since we're gonna be doing our collab days on Fridays instead, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna swap Fridays and Mondays. It's the easiest thing to do. Might do a CRPG on Mondays, just gotta figure out which one. Fair. But yeah, I was just talking about how we actually got to play D&D yesterday, which was, it felt really good. Oh, and I can do this. I can test something, because I bought a little like USB desk fan, and I want to see if keeping it right here is gonna get picked up on the mic if I like blast it as high as I can get it. And no, it doesn't get picked up. Okay, that's gonna help a lot during the summer. And welcome, Angry Meatball. How's it going, bud? Canada has their own role-playing games, Mounties and Mooses. Oh no. See here, I thought it'd be like donuts and dragons. I know Canadians love their donuts. But how are you guys doing? Pick up some poutine. You'll be in and out today? Not a problem, Meatball. You know I always appreciate whatever presents you're able to bring. I really do. But yeah, let's talk for a minute. I haven't been able to do a recap in a while. So let's do a recap. Putting some hours in a game you spent money on ages ago. Well, that's good. That's good. Get those games off your backlog, folks. But yeah, let's do a recap of what made me think I was gonna party wipe my players last night. Or not last night, but Saturday night. So, again, it was the first time in like a month that we were able to go play D&D. And as you guys know, a lot of what we've been planning is the monk temple that they're headed to, as well as leading up to the monk temple. And if I go in here and I take this page here, something that we've all kind of worked on. We know that my players were on day 3 right here. Day 3 in which they come across the imps that had stolen their stuff the night before, kind of leaving a breadcrumb trail, because I just went through my players' inventories and I was like, no, this got thrown to the side, this got thrown to the side. You guys are able to pick up a couple things here and there. All your money got dumped into one big pile. And then naturally they weren't able to find all of their money. They weren't able to get all of their items. The barbarian who had like 150 feet of rope on him now only has 65. So there's that. But yeah, they kind of got Hansel and Gretel towards where the imps were. Not that it was very hard to find them because it was on the way anyway. But last time we had actually talked about this specific encounter, we had also been talking about the 2 new players that were joining us, bringing my party up to a 6-person party, which isn't too bad. But 3 imps, even souped up, was not going to be enough of a challenge for a 6-person party, all level 8s. So we threw in a chain devil. And then, on top of the chain devil, we threw in, well, shit, I guess I should actually grab it and show you guys. Hold on. So, I have this box. There's nothing special about the box. It's what's inside the box. And you can go ahead and do the reference. You can scream at me, what's in the box. But what is in here is just a couple little things that I brought that I was like, no, I want to make sure that I have this for the combat. I want to, I like to put props down. I like to make it feel, wasn't thinking of it, not at all. I don't believe you. I like to put props down and stuff. So I had made a couple props, 4 props to be exact. And very don't care what's in the box at all. Very, very specific props. Specifically for the Chain Devil. I don't know how familiar with Chain Devils you guys are, but what's in the box though? But Chain Devils do have this ability to animate chains, which essentially gives the Chain Devil a possible maximum of 6 attacks per round. So I was like, oh, that would be great. The chains are stationary, which means that I can utilize movement around the battlefield to keep my players moving around. Because combat in D&D or any strategy game gets the absolute most boring when everybody is completely stationary. And my players, they group up on an enemy. The enemy doesn't move. They don't move. They just sit there and they take turns hitting each other. And it sucks. Which is why I like the Chain Devil. Because I was like, oh, I can, risk a couple attacks of opportunity with them to make them move around and make my players a little wary of what's going on. Mostly because of these 4 things that I crafted. Keep in mind, these are made for up in the mountains, but might be hard to see, or I guarantee it's going to be hard to see. But essentially, yeah, I don't know if I can get it to show up correctly, but I'll hang it like this. Essentially, they're just little fence posts with snowy ground and a chain attached. And it's like a 3-inch chain to simulate, a 10-foot reach. And I dropped 4 of those down on the map for them as a representation of the border of this campsite that these guys were kind of holed up at. And initially, my players were wary before combat even started. My players were wary of the chains, and they were like, what's going on? What is this? And I think they thought that it was some kind of magical barrier that was gonna damage them or hurt them as they went near it or crossed over it. And I let them cross over it because obviously I wanted to play this devil the exact same way that I'm gonna play the Bone Devil when they get to the Monk Temple. And that is that's intelligent enough to know that sometimes running into combat is not the best way to solve things, but also with the goal of trying to recruit others into their devil ranks. Essentially get them to make a devil's deal and sell their soul. My players were having absolutely none of it, though. But I let the monk walk in, and she was like, oh, I was like, are you giving this guy a wide berth, or are you gonna walk right past him? And she's like, oh, I don't give a shit, I'm gonna walk right past him. I was like, okay. So I let her walk right past him, and he just watched her, nothing aggressive, as she made her way over to a crate that the newest player pointed out might have their stuff in it, as he was kind of chained up in the camp. That was his introduction to the party, because how else are you going to introduce somebody in the middle of the mountains other than dropping them through a portal? Which I also considered. But she goes over to the crate, starts to open it up, and unfortunately for her, within reach is one of those posts with the chain. So I had it make an attack against her. It grabbed her, and then we started combat. Now combat was interesting because half the party decided to stay ranged. The other half of the party was, up in his face, super tanky, not even worried about this situation at all. And then I attacked with the imps. that were all invisible, because an imp can turn invisible as an action. And I attacked from the back first. So it was Chain Devil in the front, imps in the back, party spread out in the middle. I downed my wife in the first round because that first round, across the, I don't know, I think six attacks, I think, that I got from the Chain Devil, the 3 imps, and then an attack from one of the nearby chains. Half of those crit because of all of the advantage that these enemies were getting. Because invisibility bestows advantage. Because the player, or the player's character, cannot see the invisible creature, so it gives them advantage on their attacks. And then the Chain Devil, as well as the chains, when they hit with an attack, whatever they hit is then considered grappled and restrained, which gives advantage on additional attacks against them. So, with all of the advantage that I was getting throughout this combat, that first round, I crit 3 times. Twice with the once with the Chain Devil. Twice with the Chain Devil? No, once with the Chain Devil, once with the actual chain, and then once with an imp. And I have I use a homebrew rule where when you critically hit, it's not you double the dice, it's not you roll the dice and then double that, it's you roll your dice and then you add whatever the maximum for the dice would have been to make those really, really insane critical hits. The additional damage for 3d4s plus 4d6 is like 36 extra damage on a crit. And I didn't take that into consideration when I planned this. And when I edited these imps to make them a little more dangerous. Boy, like I said, I downed my wife in that first round. It's fine, what's a few lost limbs, lives? Yeah, exactly. Well, see, there's the thing though. Because I also knew that even though I downed her in one hit, I knew that I had 5 other targets, right? The Chain Devil and his chains were fairly immobile. Specifically the chains. The Chain Devil was gonna stay near those chains because that's where all of his, advantage is. And then these imps, they only get 1 action per turn. So I was like, yeah, this is fine. Also, the fucking cleric is a life cleric, and his channel divinity pumps out 40 HP of healing to, whoever's within range. And I think it's like a 30-foot range, so it's not huge. But as an action, dropping 40 health is a lot. It's a lot. Not what he did initially, though. Because initially he popped aid, and he was like, oh shit, let's pop aid. I was like, okay. So he gets my wife up, boosts his health, boosts somebody the rogue's health. And I was like, okay, that's still only 5 health. I was like, this is not gonna help you at all. And then at that point, like from then on, it was imps going invisible so they could get advantage on their next attack for the possible crit, as well as avoiding some damage because invisibility. I was like, yeah, obviously we're gonna do hit and run tactics with these imps. They have this invisibility. They should be using it as often as possible, because it's how they stay alive longer. I had not taken into consideration that the cleric was a stout halfling, which means he had resistance against or resistance to poison damage. I'm pretty sure. I haven't double checked it, but it sounded right to me. So he wasn't going down quite as quickly as I would have liked. But I did down the monk, which I believe was really funny because I knocked her down to 1 health, and she has the orc relentless whatever that lets you drop to 1 health instead of 0 when you take enough damage. So she dropped to 1 health exactly with my damage. And then another attack gave her the option, gave her the ability to use that. So she's, yeah, too angry to die. Exactly. So she used that. So she was at like, she was at 1 health for 2 attacks. But I still knocked her down. I ended up moving the Chain Devil within like halfway between 2 posts. So when she ran at him, on his next turn, it was 4 attacks, 2 from him and then 2 from, or, you know, 1 from each chain, because they were, you know, she was within the reach, and all 4 hit. And I was like, oh wow, you're grappled by 4 things right now. That sucks ass. She was also unconscious. So I was like, you know what? No, the chains are gonna stay grappling her, but the Chain Devil's gonna let go, because why would he, you know, restrict himself like that when you're already chained up? And yeah, they thought they were okay though. They thought they were okay because the barbarian was just running around angry. And at one point he had run off to go attack a chain, or no, the Chain Devil backed away, so he was gonna have to move in. And on his turn, as soon as he started his turn, he was like, okay, I'm gonna move in. I was like, actually, when you start your turn, I was like, the Chain Devil's gonna use his Unnerving Mask. And a DC 14 Wisdom save I don't think is all that high. I think that's about mid-range. Except, even though our barbarian put extra points into his wisdom, he sucks at wisdom saves. And I ended up fearing the barbarian. And it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling. And we actually kind of discussed this before we started playing, because I suppose I should mention, our new player is playing a warlock. For level 8's DC 14 shouldn't be too bad. Exactly. But he's a barbarian. He doesn't have proficiency in wisdom saves, even though I think his wisdom is like a +2. Still, he just cannot hit that DC 14. Like, it doesn't matter. No matter what it is. The last time I used fear was with the zombie dragon, and he was feared for the entire fight. He could not break out of it. I think that DC was a little bit higher though. I think it was like 16. But still, he was never able to roll high enough. So our new addition is a warlock. Super squish. More HP than the cleric, funnily enough. But again, super squish. At this point, I think the average HP across the party is about 65-ish, something like that, not counting the barbarian, because the barbarian has 102 health, and then he's Bear Totem Barbarian. So effectively, as long as he's raging, this barbarian has 204 health, unless I have psychic damage, which I'm not specifically putting psychic damage in, because I'm not trying to specifically counter him. So we discussed this before we started playing, and I was like, I was like, do you guys understand how difficult it is to balance an encounter when the entirety of the party has reasonable health, but then I have this one big dumbass who has effectively 200 health, 3 times more than the rest of the party. I was like, it makes it so difficult. And he was like, yeah, I couldn't imagine having to do it. And I was like, yeah, but here's the thought. Just because you're the biggest and the baddest and the toughest does not mean that you're always going to be the target. And I told them, I was like, you know what's going to really suck? Is when everybody in the party dies except for the barbarian. And then he has to deal with the PTSD of losing an entire party. When he was supposed to be the big bad protector that fights off all the bad guys. So, and that was kind of the first time or it wasn't the first time, because I've only thought about that a couple times previously, but it was the first time I actually verbally mentioned it. And it makes sense, right? Like, if you have this huge, big, bad, nearly immortal creature that's just in your face constantly, and then being supported by a whole team of people in the background, why would you sit there and fisticuffs with it? Why wouldn't you go after everybody that's supporting him? And then when he's all alone, then start using your various abilities to your advantage and get him stuck on the ground because he can't fly, and you know, he's just not. He's got brute strength. He's all brawn. Not a lot of brain. Creativity, sure. But that doesn't always save you. So yeah, it was fun. I knocked 2 of them down. One of them multiple times. My wife, even one of the times she got downed, she rolled a nat 1 on her first death save, which caused some panic. That was enjoyable to watch, and I was just like, I've saved her from death multiple times because I have plans for her character. But at this point, she's made a choice that enables me to not care anymore. Right? Like, if she dies, she's going to die. Unless they bring her back with, like, Revivify or something like that. If she full on dies and they don't bring her back, I'm not done with her character, but she is. Because I'm that kind of person. But yeah, so knocking them down a couple times scared them quite a bit. Even when the cleric popped his spirit guardians and was like, okay, safety bubble, I was like, no, you're not as safe as you think you are, as I sent the imps in into his bubble. Cause boy, imps and chain devils have magic resistance, giving them advantage on their saving throws, which worked out very nicely. In the end, though, they did kill the chain devil. They killed 2 of the imps. One of them got away. It was just kind of like, it was funny. They actually downed both imps, almost got the 3rd, and killed the chain devil all in the same round. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to react beyond seeing my single imp being the lone survivor from this round and going, oh shit, fuck this. Popped invisibility and flew away. Which means I should probably include another imp at the temple. If I have any. I do. So hey, look at that. We're gonna bump this up to 4 imps. Because fuck it. They're gonna have to deal with that. Jovan, welcome. I'm probably gonna butcher your name. I'm sorry. Watching while you plan as well. Very, very nice. What software am I using? I'm using OneNote for Windows. It's part of the, or it can be part of the like Office 365 suite, but you can also download it for free by itself. And that's what I use for all of my note keeping and planning and stuff. Jobin Frey. Okay. And thank you for the thank you for actually writing that out. But welcome. If you have any questions or you're looking for help with anything, or you need ideas, or you want to share ideas, please feel free to. That's what this space is for. You got an ad exactly when I started explaining. Oh. Yeah. Fucking ads. So yeah. It's just OneNote for Windows. It's free. It's really, really nice. You can have multiple notebooks for different stuff. I actually want to take these different like one-shots and stuff out of this notebook and put it all into its own. But yeah, OneNote is cool. I started out as a binder DM, and I still have the big binder, and it's like tons of tabs, papers all over the place. But then I got turned on to OneNote, and it has completely taken over. It's been so nice. If Microsoft ever wants to sponsor, if Microsoft ever wants to sponsor me so I could pimp their OneNote software, I absolutely would take that. But it's super nice, and I've introduced older DMs to it, and they've taken to it like a fish in water as well, because it's just so nice. Never thought about it for planning interest. You're trying to use Obsidian right now. I haven't tried Obsidian. Aren't that disparaging the binder? God no. Here's the thing. Like I said, I used to be a binder DM. I still have it. I'm not gonna get rid of it. I'm still gonna use it. But it's a lot easier to carry around my phone that has OneNote on it and take notes whenever I need to than it is to carry that binder around. Game Pass sponsor me. Yeah, God, if only. And hey, Shiz, how's it going? So yeah, that's kind of the rundown of Saturday's game. Nothing major. A lot of our time was spent building our new player's character. And I'm waiting on a response from him about, there's my phone, about backstory stuff, but I don't know how soon I'm gonna get that from him. He's not much of a texter. But yeah, I do know that he went with a Great Old One Warlock, Pact of the Tome. He was really like, I want to be a warlock. I want to do all the magic stuff. I was like, okay, well, doing all the magic stuff as a warlock is a little difficult, but there's invocations and various other things that you could do to increase the amount of spells that you have. Okay. It looks like I'm still up. My internet's been iffy the last couple days. I should have restarted my router today before I streamed, but it is what it is. But yeah, so Great Old One Warlock. Like I said, squishy. I have some plans for his warlock though. Already. We'll see what he comes up with. So I'm waiting on response from him. But that said, really, I don't know how much I actually need to fully get done. I have some stuff that I've made. It's mostly like I've shown this off before. It's my multiple spinning wheels star chart thing that I'm gonna drop in front of my players and go, hey, solve this. And if they do solve it, which it should be fairly simple. And again, and I guess I'm just gonna call you Joe for right now, if that's okay, Jobin Frey. But star chart. I can't put it there. Star chart. Fairly simple. If they know, which there will be hints around the monk temple, if they know, then it should be fine. But essentially, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rings here, or 8 discs. And it was actually kind of fun putting it all together. It was a lot of printing. But if they do decide to tackle this, again, it shouldn't be too difficult. That's not the goal. The goal isn't to make it impossible, just to make it kind of cool and give them something interactive that I can drop on the table for them. But if they do attempt to solve it, they are essentially going for this pattern, which is, you know, if you recognize it, which a lot of people should, it's literally just a star form of the Vitruvian Man. And if you don't know what that is by name, it's what is it? Da Vinci's drawing of a man, and it has like 4 arms, the 4 legs, all spread out. The original Spider-Man. But yeah, it's just that. And that's gonna be in game, that's gonna be the door to a big vault. Okay, you were gonna say octopus. Sure, that works too. But it's specifically that because this monk temple that they're headed to, which is where the barbarian's brother is supposed to be, is your player brain is showing. That's okay. And J-Ron, thank you for the lurk, buddy. I appreciate it. But this temple is specifically, they train in the way of the astral monk or whatever it is. It's the one that lets you be a JoJo character, with like the ghost arms with longer reach and all of that shit. So that's why I was like, oh, this Vitruvian Man aesthetic kind of fits that a bit better. Also, then, you know, there's the whole astral aspect of it. I was like, okay, well, you know, there's ties to like the astral sea with that, and then I was like, oh, well, the astral sea is like the sea of stars, and you know, I rolled with it. So I was like, yeah, cool, this works. Great theme. Thanks, I appreciate that. I really try with a lot of this stuff. And that's not quite finished. I need to make it a little sturdier. But yeah, so I'm gonna drop that in front of my players on Saturday, because I believe we're playing again on Saturday to kind of play catch up. But yeah, Saturday's gonna be interesting because they're essentially gonna have to get through the second half of day 3. They literally just got through them trying to figure out what happened to their stuff, how it got stolen, where it went, and then they got to the encounter. Because again, we did character creation for the Warlock. So yeah, on Saturday, it's gonna be them encountering this, which is gonna be these warning, the wild soul spirits. I'll go over all of this again in case anybody's forgot, or for those of you like Joe who are new. Astral monk, wild spirits, kind of tying it all together. So headed up the mountains, headed towards the temple as they get closer. Because of what's happened at the temple, they're not going to find any monks. Or what monks they do find are going to be dead. Because of essentially a small band of devils going in and torturing anybody that didn't get away. And if they absolutely refused to be turned and make a deal with the devils, then they were probably tortured until they died in order to coerce the others into taking the deal. Because we got to remember, like, devils are evil, but they're also lawful. They have rules, they have goals. And typically that goal should just be collecting souls for the greater armies of the Nine Hells, right? So slaughtering monks in a monk temple, that's always fun. But the like spirits around the area are going to be aware of this and are going to try to give the players a warning. Atla vibes, yeah. But these wild soul spirits are going to be kind of warning them. So we're planning out an actual ram standing in the middle of their path, and as the players get closer, it'll do a little charge, that warning charge, which is like the lowering of the head, taking a couple steps, trying to get the players to back off. And I guarantee my players are going to see that as it's just an aggressive animal. Let's try to calm it down and all of that. The barbarian's definitely going to say, hey, can I take 10 minutes to cast Speak with Animals? Because he can. And I'm going to go, no, you're probably not going to get 10 minutes to sit in front of this ram that's threatening you. Which means the ranger will probably cast Speak with Animals. And then she's gonna want to go, hey, hold on, what's going on? Why are you trying to attack us? She's gonna try to be diplomatic about it. I don't know if I actually want to have the ram respond or just say something along the lines of, you shouldn't go this way, turn back, go home. Just real simple and never explain why. Kind of keep the mystery up a bit. But they get past the ram, which I know they will. It's literally just a fucking sheep with horns. It's not going to be hard for them. But once they get past that, because it's snowing and it's up in the mountains, we're going to do a little bit of... we're taking some inspiration from the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe movie, right? And I always loved the idea of... I don't remember exactly what it is. I just remember there being wind and, like, leaves or flower petals that kind of form the shape of a person in the air, right? So we're doing something like that with swirling snow, holding out their hand, trying to stop, trying to say, don't go this way. Yeah, dryads. If that's what they were. I'll take your word on it, or word for it, Joe. And we'll say, yeah, the dryads in that, because dryads change across all kinds of media. In Narnia they were. Okay, cool. So yeah, the Narnia dryads. We're kind of doing that, but with snow. No words. It's going to be something that, like, not everybody's going to see either, because it's snowing up on this mountain. But I'm essentially going to have all my players roll perception. Whoever rolls the highest is going to be the one that sees it. And it's just going to be real brief, and it ideally should make the player go, did you guys see that? And then nobody else is going to see it. But they're going to have that knowledge of, like, something telling them, don't go this way. And then as they get closer, they're gonna come across like a couple farms, a little unkempt, but with farms come a couple hardy trees, since we're talking up in the mountains. And with that comes roots. and I'm gonna trip the players as they get closer. So it's gonna be a bunch of these little things. No real damage. It's all pretty much just role play, but it's like this thing's stopping you, and this thing's trying to stop you, and this thing's trying to stop you. So we're getting a mix of the animals up there, the actual weather itself up there, and then the plant life up there, all saying, like, all parts of the natural world, all trying to go, like, stop going this way. Stop going this way. Naturally, my players will easily be able to take on a bone devil and however many imps and whatever other else I've thrown in there, which actually, yeah, bone devil, imps. We did decide to throw in some new Paribos and lemurs. Lemurs? I will always say this wrong because I don't know how to say it, and I'm not calling them lemurs. But my players will be able to handle this. Mostly because these two down here, whatever there are of this down here, I'm leaving them completely unaltered. These are like one-hit kills, which I might as well just consider them to have 1 HP each. So yeah, I think the real challenge is going to be the Bone Devil and the imps. 4 of them now. But nothing terrible and nothing that they can't handle. My players are all level 8, so it's a party of 6 level 8s. And Joe, because you're new here, I'll give the rundown. It's a totem barbarian, bear totem, so far. A swarm keeper ranger. If that's what it is, if I'm remembering that correctly. Way of the Open Palm monk, a life cleric, which has been the bane of my existence, an assassin rogue that's new to the party, and then a great old one, warlock, which is brand new as of Saturday. So I'd say they've got a pretty good mix. Yeah, the Healy boy. And what's more, I made the mistake of giving him an item, kind of a hi, Gabby. Welcome. I made the mistake of giving him an item. It's not fully homebrewed, because it is something from one of the books. I can't remember what, but it's essentially just like the +1 amulet for clerics or whatever. Nice nails, thanks. These are, the color was picked by Shiz. But I took this thing and I wanted it to be like legendary artifact, because that's what the cleric's going to be doing for his like personal story. Whether he realizes it yet or not, that's the path he's going to be taking. So this amulet is one of those. So I added a couple extra effects to it, and one of those effects was, oh, you also get 1 more channel divinity each day. Which means that if my life cleric really wants to, he can do 120 healing per day without expending spell slots. Combine that with the Bear Totem Barbarian, who effectively has 204 health. It's been such a like, and it's not that like I'm not able to be effective in fights, because again I gave a recap of Saturday's game earlier, but again I was able to downed the ranger multiple times. I made sure she couldn't get up. I downed the monk, who has the monk is she asked if she could be half elf, half orc. So I said yeah, and I went and found a homebrew for an elf orc that I was like, okay, this actually feels pretty balanced. So it's not too bad, but she has that orc's relentless endurance, which kept her up for an extra hit. Like my players are kind of tanky. But again, like, I know where their weak points are, and intelligent enemies would be able to recognize where the weak points are, so I usually play them like that. If they're dumb enemies, if their intelligence is low, I do swarm stuff, and it's like attack the nearest thing or attack whatever's been hitting you the hardest. And, you know, if they're pack animals, then obviously it's a swarm, and that's how they move. Make some kind of ice method that has something like the chill touch cantrip. So, actually, that's really mean. And I haven't thrown anything like the chill touch out at my players yet. I like letting them feel super powerful, right? I do. I really like letting them feel super powerful because that's what the game should be, right? It should make you scared at certain points. But it should also make you feel like I have so much power. I'm not just a normal person with a sword. I'm able to go out and really kick some ass. But there are times that I make it a struggle. My players ended up getting themselves captured a while back and thrown into jail. All stripped of all of their belongings by a bunch of Duergar. And oh yeah, for sure, that's just your first instinct. No, and you know what, it's a good thing, and I need to take note of that, Joe. But yeah, my players got stripped of everything. The barbarian, though, has a cursed war pick that's super powerful, but he doesn't really know what's going on, but it's slowly turning him into an undead, basically. Which is great. But yeah, so the party was pretty much just like they had nothing except for, you know, what clothes they had on them. And this party of like people that do not stealth ended up stealthing through this Duergar fortress trying to find their stuff. They ended up not finding all of their stuff. Joe, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I really do. But they end up going through the fortress trying to find their stuff, and they come across the essentially the boss of the fortress before they find all their stuff. And they were like, oh no, we got this. This is fine because, you know, the barbarian still has his weapon, and it's like it's a bound weapon. He can bonus action it back to his hand from anywhere it is, as long as it's on the same plane of existence. So he obviously he rages. He's like, all right, I got tons of health, I'll tank this. I've got my weapon, I can do so much damage. And I was like, all right, let's do this fight. And they try it. And they did all right. They had a couple weapons that they had found. And I was like, yeah, they're just basic weapons. You guys are not at full power. The cleric did not have his focus, so he couldn't cast spells. Literally just had his like channel divinity or whatever. God, I don't know. I don't even know if he had that, because I don't remember if channel divinity is tied to requiring your focus or not. But either way, they were far from full power. They thought they were fine. Right up until, is it the warlord? No, it's not the warlord. Somebody here It's not the regular Duragar. It's not the Duragar Stone Guard. It's not the officer. I thought it was the warlord. Yeah, oh yeah, there it is. There it is. We all know Bear Totem Barbarians and how much it sucks because their only weakness is psychic damage, right? Boy, did he shit his pants when I hit him with a hammer that did psychic damage. Like, it was so satisfying. It was so satisfying because normally these fights shouldn't be too difficult. Duragar aren't that great, and even though I alter stuff, to make it a little bit harder, usually it's not that bad. But that one, when they were just stripped of their stuff, that was a tough one for them to handle. They still got through it, but they were definitely a lot more scared, especially because it was the warlord and then an artillerist, and I gave the artillerist poison on his attacks. It was just like I wanted to make it interesting, and when I make things interesting, I very specifically make sure that I'm not just grabbing stuff that's going to counter my party, because that's not fun. But occasionally, if I want to challenge them and I'm looking through a bunch of stat blocks, I might find one or two that are like, this one can fuck up a little bit of their plans. Not the entirety of it, though. So that's talking about past stuff. You have to remember that one. Yeah. Psychic Warhammer. It was the weirdest thing, but hearing my Barbarians player go, "Oh no," is the best thing in the world. So that's the past, right? Let's look to the future. Okay? We're gonna look to the future. And as we look to the future, I'm gonna put that star chart thing where hopefully my wife won't see it when she comes home. You could argue a concussion is psychic damage. Scythe throw. Interesting argument. I could see that being a thing, yeah. Any hammer can deal psychic damage. Fair. Well, I think psychic damage is... I'm not saying you're wrong. Because I like it. But like that's why the hammers and larger objects like that very specifically do bludgeoning damage. Concussions are the effect of taking bludgeoning damage. Psychic damage is emotional and mental damage. Psychic damage is the stuff that makes you want to commit unalive. Psychic damage is the stuff that makes you want to sewer slide. I hang out with a couple Gen Zers, so I'm old, but I'm still picking up the lingo. But no, that's a fair point, Scythro. You're joking mainly, but no. It's a good point, right? It's one of those things where my usual, like, my mantra at the table is, if you can justify it, I'll let you do it. Right? If you can justify it, usually I'll let you do it. So, looking to the future, my players are going to have to deal with these wild soul spirits in whatever form they are, trying to stop them. Whether my players get the hint or not, we will see. But I doubt they will. Or if they do get the hint, I doubt they'll listen. Which is fine, because I don't want them to listen. Otherwise, all this stuff that I've planned is going to waste. Or not to waste, but I'll have to reuse it somewhere else. But they get there, and outside of the gates, or within the little farm area outside of the temple, they are gonna find our 2 ice golems. I love these things, and I know the camera doesn't pick it up well enough. I should turn on my mini camera and show you guys, but this whole area where it's at, it's messy. But they're gonna have to deal with some ice golems, which I want to go over it and make sure that these are gonna be as deadly as I want them to be. You had a similar discussion before with whether the central nervous system was a con, int, or whiz save. Ooh, interesting. I guess it depends on how you're affecting the central nervous system, right? But usually the big things that would be affecting that would be like electric damage, like when you're getting tased, right? Remember the acupuncture. I don't, Scythro. My memory's really bad though. But I'd probably say it would be like a con save, right? Because I've seen video of people getting tased and still walking through it. Like they're able to brute force their way through it with the monk's acupuncture blowgun. Oh yeah, should we take a look at that? Let's take a look at that, because maybe that'll remind me. I really haven't done any other like homebrew building for items. We was referred to the stream. Yeah, that's what I thought, Scythro. I literally could not remember it. Right. So this weapon functions as both a quarterstaff and blowgun. Astral needles. Attacks with this weapon cause phantom pain determined by the user, which can result in disadvantage or drop weapons or move unpredictably, etc., etc. On a hit, the target must make an intelligence saving throw versus the wielder's DC, taking 1d8 or 1d6 psychic damage and becoming affected by effect. Target rerolls the save at the end of every turn, taking another 1d6 psychic damage on each failure. On a success, no longer affected. So the reason why I would make this an intelligence save, or fuck, even a wisdom save, I guess technically it could go both ways. The reason I'd make it either an intelligence or a wisdom save is because it's psychic damage, very specifically. If it were a poison or electric damage, something that was physically attacking the nervous system, then I'd say it was a con, or it would be a con save. But this is literally like dropping psychic damage, is making you think that you're in pain. That's my reasoning behind it. People on PCP can shrug off a taser. Yes, absolutely. Something about disrupting communications from nerve endings. Yeah. Con save for disabling, whiz for controlling. That's a good guideline, Joe. What's your fantasy PCP? Wait, are you asking me? I don't have. You know, there's a hole in my world building. I haven't come up with drugs. I've used like magic mushrooms, but that's about it. Or weed. I've used weed in game. Weed and magic mushrooms, but nothing, no manufactured chemical drugs. Sounds like I have some work to do. No kidding. No, this is like, with all the stuff that I've made, I'm still so far behind on having an actual full functional world. So int for the mental part of the brain, con for the physical. Yeah. That's about it. You could also argue wisdom for the mental part. But yeah, either way. So yeah, I'm gonna be putting my players up against a couple ice golems. I made the cleric use one of his channel divinities of the 3 that he has. And I'm sitting here thinking these ice golems are going to be right outside the monk temple. And then when they go in the monk temple, there's going to be more fighting with the various like lesser devils and possibly the imps. And then there's going to be a bone devil, but the bone devil's not going to be immediately aggressive. Again, these devils have goals, right? These devils aren't there to just kill and murder and maim. That's not their goal. Their goal is to make deals. Their goal is to get people recruited for their larger army of the 9 hells. And obviously, recruiting people is a good thing for devils because the more souls you're able to recruit, the higher rank you get, right? Alil, how's it going? Welcome. So he's not going to be immediately aggressive, but I mean, it's also not going to be a situation where, like, if the Bone Devil is aware of the party, he's probably not going to let them sleep. So I have to sit here and think now, is this Chain Devil fight, which I think they're going to get a short rest, or no, they are getting a short rest in. So they're getting a short rest. Are they going to have enough resources to go into a fight with these 2 ice golems and then go into a possible fight with those lesser devils and 4 of these souped up imps and a bone devil? Yeah, I think so, right? All right. Let's see. So these golem fights. Let's look at the golem fight first. We bumped their AC up to 18. I mean, golems, they should be pretty tanky, hard to hit. We did jump their HP up to 250 each, so we're looking at my players needing to do about 500 damage. And I say about because if my players come within a certain range of HP when they're fighting an enemy, I'll just let them kill the enemy. Far too often have my players gone into battle against an enemy and knocked the enemy down to exactly 1 health, and then it takes a whole other attack which may miss, which it's just like, no, it's dumb to watch on my part. Like on my side of the screen, I hate watching it. So I've just decided when they hit a certain like range, they'll get the kill on it. Especially if it's like, oh, I crit on them and I did all this damage, but they still have 1 HP. It's like, no, that crit should have fucking killed them. Fuck that. So we'll say the players have to do about 500 damage, which across the 6 of them, honestly, that's probably about like 6 or 7 rounds of combat. And I think that's without crits. So they're pretty capable. That's the word I'm looking for. What did I do? I gave these ice golems a cold aura. Puts out fire. And then any creature that starts their turn within 10 feet of the golem, they take 3d6 cold damage. That's an average of 10 damage. Yeah, same. In your games, enemies die when you feel like they should. Yeah, exactly. Within their HP range. But don't tell them. Yeah, DM secrets, right? DM secrets. Honestly, like, I've made fights go on for a little bit longer just to make them feel more satisfying. Like, when my players fought this rock, I wrote down that it had 300 health. I think I ended up giving it like 450 just to make the fight feel better. It made it go on longer, but it makes it feel better because sure, the rock's not doing any extra damage, but it gives the rock more chances to continue doing damage. The monster in the manual isn't every monster in the world. They don't all die the same. Exactly, Joe. Exactly. And it's kind of like how I see it. So generally, especially for big creatures like this, if my players hit within, like, you know, if they damage a creature and it's 9 health or lower away from actually dying, I'll usually just let it die. More often than not, my players will hit it and be like within 5 or 4 points from killing it, and it's just like, yeah, it's dead. You don't have to worry about it. It's dead now. And I actually had to do that with one of the imps on Saturday, because I was like, it had 5 health left. I was like, this is dumb. Nobody wants to waste an entire attack where they're likely to be doing like 20 damage on something that only has 5 or less life. And hello, Gemma. Lurking, not a problem. We love our lurkers here. And enjoy the gym. You had one very aggressive, overwhelming party, and you had to always double the enemy's HP to even show off this. Yeah, exactly. Show, like, if you want to make a enemy harder, boost their health. Give them more health. If you want to make them scarier, make their attacks do 1 die extra damage. More often than not, that's all you have to do. If you want to make them deadly, give the creature another attack. Like, make their multi-attack 3 attacks instead of 2. Make their 3-attack multi-attack a 4-attack multi-attack. It just that one extra die and 1 extra attack can completely change a combat. And then boosting their health is always better than boosting their AC. And this is how you keep small creatures like action economy go burr. Exactly. It's the action economy struggle, right? It's just one of those things you have to take into account. And it's one of the hardest things to balance if you don't know how to. But looking at these ice golems, I have them doing 3d6 cold damage to whoever's within their area. Although I do have it say when they start their turn. So this is dangerous for the monk. This is especially dangerous for the monk, but if the monk is smart enough, she'll learn that she can step away from hitting these things and not take that cold aura damage, but in stepping away, it also runs the risk of taking an attack of opportunity. And that's honestly, that just might be something that I have to let my players figure out, right? It's just something that they're gonna have to go, oh well, fuck. We're gonna have to start moving around, otherwise we're gonna die. Which is good. That's what I want. I want my players to have to move around because, as I said earlier, when it comes to tactical games. I absolutely hate situations where enemies stand here, players surround enemy, and then they just punch each other in the face until somebody dies. Start of the golems or player's turn? It's the player's turn. So it very specifically says any creature that starts its turn within 10 feet of the golem takes the damage. So it would be at the beginning of the player's turn, not the beginning of the golem's turn. So any player that decides to end their turn within that space, the golem could just run at them and end its turn next to the PC. Yeah. Potentially, yeah. It's also why I haven't increased the movement speed on the golem either, which increase the movement speed on your creatures. My fucking barbarian can move 40 feet per round. That's outside of his first turn, which I think he can do like 60 feet. The monk has a movement speed of, I think, 40 feet. And then everybody else in the party is ranged. I have to increase the movement speed on creatures for them to be useful at all. Or I have to use, pack tactics or ambush tactics, like I did with the imps and their invisibility. Stuff like that. My players aren't the sneakiest. So more often than not, they're really not going to be doing any sneaking up on people. An environmental hazard like ice fissures to hamper movement could make that more interesting too. Yeah, it could. It's also supposed to be it's a good idea. It's a good idea, Joe. For the area that I have planned, because again, it's like right outside the monk temple, kind of between the farms. It doesn't fit the aesthetic, the theme of the area. It doesn't quite fit, but no, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. But that's just the cold aura, right? That's just the cold aura, and that's essentially going to force my players into hit and run tactics, which should be good. Immutable form, because obviously it's a golem. Can't alter its form. Magic resistance, because it's a golem. Also, fuck my cleric. Magic weapons, not that it matters. I was also dumb. Cold breath could reduce movement speed too, like the frostbite. Yeah, actually, after Joe mentioned the slowing or using ice fissures to hamper movement, I had that exact thought, Scythro. So I could add something in that, yeah, I guess just like for a turn, if they're hit with the cold breath and they fail their DC, their movement is halved for a turn. I don't know if I'd want to make it something that was like a constant thing, so it was like they have to keep, it's like they're slowed for a minute with a save at the end of each turn. I think I'd rather just make it one single turn. Because that actually went really well with the Chain Devil's Fear. Because, again, my Barbarian's player was pissed when he got feared. And then at the end of his turn, it wears off. And I was like, okay, you're not feared anymore. He's like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. And I was like, yeah, it's not that bad. And then on his next turn, I feared him again. That's when he got really mad. Permanent speed reduction? Oh, God. Like, give them permanent frostbite. Their toes just kind of snap off, and then they're forever slowed. That's a dick move. But yeah, typical golem stuff. We added in the cold aura. And this is like a homebrewed golem, because I couldn't find an ice golem anywhere, so we kind of took some golem stuff. I can't remember from which golem, but we took essentially most of it from the golem and then started adding in ice stuff, like the cold breath and the cold aura. We're letting the golems make 3 slam attacks with a +10 to hit, which is muy bueno. The Ranger should not get near this because the Ranger's AC is like a 15. The Warlocks is a 16. The Rogues, I think, is a 16. They're not going to want to get close. Cleric, Monk, and Barbarian, though, they'll be fine. I'll still have like a 50% chance to hit, essentially, with them. Does the cold aura stack if you're next to both at the start of your turn? No, I'm not gonna have it stack. I'm not gonna have it stack because it's kind of like putting two freezers next to each other. Don't do this; it wastes energy. But it's like if you took two freezers next to and put them facing each other and took the doors off. It's gonna be 0 degrees Fahrenheit in this freezer and 0 degrees Fahrenheit in this freezer. But when the air mixes, it doesn't get even colder than 0. It's gonna stay the same temperature. So that cold aura, just because they're next to both golems, doesn't mean they're gonna be taking double damage. It's just still gonna be cold. Does my cleric frontline a lot? Kind of, yes. He's really big on Spirit Guardians. He does have heavy armor and a shield, I believe. So he's got the high AC. He's got the spells for being frontline and being in the thick of it. He kind of likes to bounce back and forth depending on what's needed at the time. So yeah. That, and if he wants to get in close for his big heals, he'll he'll have to do that and then put himself at risk. But yeah, so let's look at this. So the multi-attack slams, 3 slams, plus 10 to hit each. For the high AC folks, it's roughly going to be like a 50-55% chance that I hit them. For the others, it's like a 75-80% chance. 5-foot reach, though, is not bad. Chain Devil was rough because 10-foot reach. Same with the chains that was attacking people. The imps were rough because they can fly and go invisible. These ice golems don't really have a lot of that. They're very much brutes. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be pushing people around and making them move if they have to. But 3d8 plus 6 bludgeoning damage. That's going to be a lot of damage. And as always, as the DM, their hit points may not be completely static. If my players are in trouble and I made this fight too difficult for them, I'll definitely I'll drop their HP mid-fight. Also, with 3d6 guaranteed damage at the start of the player's turn seems a bit abusable by the golem, especially if they land a grapple with their +6 strength. You'd personally deal the damage at the start of the golem's turn, give the 2 golems individual turns. Or let the first of their 3 attacks each turn be a shove to knock their target prone. That's fair. I'm actually... I don't know if I was going to be grappling a whole lot. But you're right. Well, okay, so I pulled this from another creature. Let me see if I can find it. I think it was a white dragon. Do the white dragons have... No, something has an aura. No, it's not the white dragon. Something has an aura. Can you guys think of anything that has an aura? Like a fire aura? Maybe it was something with a fire aura. You think fire elemental? Cool. I'll take a look at the fire elemental and see the wording on it. You think shoves fit the golems a lot better than grapples? One knocks prone. Yeah, I wasn't. I don't think I was considering grappling. Although if I really want to be a dick, I could make these ice golems grapple and then have them walk my players over to the cliff edge and try to throw them off. rather than constantly just attempt to beat the pulp, or beat my players into a pulp, just get rid of them, right? Because it's what I tried to do with the rock. When I had the rock attack, I tried to grab my players and then fly off, and I was just gonna drop them over the chasm that they were next to, which was gonna be a 200 or 300 foot fall. But it fits, right? I'm not like it's a dick move, but isn't that what a bird would do, right? I've watched birds, like I've watched hawks and eagles pick up snakes and stuff, fly them up, and then just fucking drop them. I've watched ravens and crows pick up like nuts and stuff and just drop them. That seems too smart for a 3-int ice golem. Well, okay, so that's a good point. That's a good point. These golems do not have intelligence. But if because golems are constructs, they were made by something or someone, they would have instructions, right? So if their instructions were just keep them away or keep people away, you just heard something about nuts dropping? Yeah, Gemma, we're all experiencing puberty in here. It's okay, don't worry about it. No, I was talking about ravens dropping nuts and rocks onto pavement or other, not rocks, but dropping nuts onto rocks or pavement in order to crack them open. I mean, but ravens like that are smarter. Knock them down, get advantage on those melee attacks, and keep them in their ice aura. Let me look up the fire elemental real quick. Oh, and as always, folks, if you like the music, it's GameChops on YouTube. It's their live channel. It's fantastic music if you like video game remixes and stuff like that. Those angsty crows, ravens dropping nuts everywhere. Yeah, exactly. The fire elemental doesn't have a fire aura. Something had a fucking aura. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google it. There we go. Thank you, Reddit. Let's see what they say. Nightwalker. Sure, great. Let's check the Nightwalker. I think the Nightwalker does have an aura. Annihilating aura. Any creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of the Nightwalker must succeed on a con save. That's what we're missing. Or take the necrotic damage. So we can balance this by adding the save, right? How would that sound? Because you're right, Scythro. A golem that just moves forward to attack and then the player is stuck in that aura is rough. First time it enters a creature's space on a turn, that creature takes fire damage and catches fire. Okay. Oh, from the fire form. Oh, okay. Okay. So, okay, I could do that. I could do that. But then in the event of like the barbarian just sitting there in the aura, will it continue to take damage? Because it technically won't be entering that space, or that, yeah, it won't be entering that space anymore. And then at that point, we're kind of in the same situation. When is he going to be taking the damage? If he's continually taking damage. Otherwise, it's like, oh, I step into the aura, I take the 3d6, and then, no, that's fine. I'm cold. Big deal. Big whoop. Change the breath weapon to a Draco Lich one. It should de-level the PCs. Jesus, Mateball. I'm not taking levels away. Yeah, the elemental sets things on fire. But specifically with like the Nightwalker, he has an aura. There's a save though. And we can absolutely include a save. What that save is gonna be? So crap. Right? I hate it's the one thing I hate about my DM is he's old school. He grew up with that old stuff, and he will take levels away and he will take stat points away. And it makes the game a lot harder. When the Ice Golem starts its turn, every creature within 10 feet of it takes... Yeah, that would force the hit and run tactics. That would force the hit and run tactics. That still happened in 3.5? Ugh. It's rude. It's fucked up, man. We want to play a game for fun. Okay. Let's I wanna figure this out, because I think I have like an hour and a half before my wife gets home, and then I can't talk about this stuff. I have other stuff that I can talk about with her around, but not planning the campaign that she plays in. It's dangerous. Yes, it is. It's absolutely dangerous. Okay. So we have two options then. Okay. We have two options. As Scythro's saying, we can have the aura take effect when the golem starts its turn. Or we can add a saving throw to it when a creature starts their turn. So do we want guaranteed damage on the goal at the beginning of the golem's turn, or do we want a save against the damage on the player's turn? Then shove with multi-attack until all enemies within range are prone. Then slam attack. They don't have shared initiative, so the other golem can follow up with slow and cold breath. That's the way you'd run it. I mean, technically, when I run my enemies that have a shared initiative, I pretty much do that anyway. I don't go, oh, they all move at the exact same time. I get a little more tactical because that's when I have the chance to get tactical. However, giving them different initiatives for more cold aura triggers, yeah, that would be good too, actually. It would help break up their turns as well. Otherwise, it's Golem's turn, and then the entire party goes, and then Golem's turn, and then the entire party goes. I could break their initiative up. Let me, yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna note this. If I know how to spell. So, separate initiatives for the ice golems. Hit and run is easier if all enemies move at the same time. True. True. Very true. I like that. And I mean, when I have mixed, when I have mixed armies, I roll initiative based on type. So with the Chain Devil and the Imps, Chain Devil was one initiative, Imps were another one. What type of damage do these golems regain health from? That's the thing 5e golems do. I actually didn't include that. But yeah, if I did, Scythro, like Scythro says, I'd probably do cold. But it's not necessary with how much health I'm giving them. And my players, I guarantee my players are going to go, these are ice golems, they're cold, don't hit them with cold because they're probably not going to be, you know, hurt by it. But it's always a damage type you don't expect. That's part of the puzzle. Ooh, okay. So what if they heal? What if they heal from fire damage, right? Because stay with me. The ice golem's bodies are so cold, right? But if you hit it with as you're doing damage to it, their bodies are going to start to crack and break apart, right? But then you hit them with fire damage and it remelts them and melts them back together. So you're essentially mending the golems by melting them back together. Iron golems heal from fire damage. Do they really? Did I put an iron golem in here? I did. Oh shit, they do have fire absorption. Okay. Golems could regain HP by starting within each other's auras. Adds more strategy to breaking them up. Ooh. Yeah, well, okay, so here's something that we need to make sure that we're taking into consideration, right? My players just had a fight. They're taking a short rest. There's resources that have been burnt already, right? They are going into a fight with these ice golems. These ice golems, even right now, are guaranteed to burn up even more of their resources, okay? And then after that, like right after the ice golems, highly likely, almost a guaranteed thing, they're going to be going into a combat with imps and a bone devil and Nuperibos and lemures, whatever the fuck you want to call them. The goop people. These guys. Can I actually show this off? Yeah, whatever. The goop devils, the super low level ones. Low rank ones. So I don't want these ice golems to be the boss, right? I just want them to be scary enough to reduce my player's resources, right? Because even though I downed multiple people during the fight, the cleric burned 1/3 of his channeled divinities and like 2 spells. He cast Spirit Guardians and Spiritual Weapon. Aid. He cast 3 spells. And then the barbarian pretty much isn't down hardly anything. The warlock's gonna have everything back anyway because short rest. The rogue didn't get touched the entire time. The ranger got off one spell, maybe 2 spells. How many resources do you want them to expend? Because so far the plotting sounds like you're trying to drain them of everything they have. Honestly, yeah, kind of. I want to leave them with like nothing. You'll go to bed now. You've made your opinions known. 2 of them. I appreciate it, Scythro. I really do, and I might go that route. I might make it guaranteed damage. I might drop it to 2d6. Or I can make it 3d4. But yeah, I've never fully drained my party of their resources. They don't know what that's like. Third combat with no resources is gonna take forever and won't be fun for anyone. That's the thing, like, the cleric holds on to his spell slots like crazy. It takes extreme situations for him to use his spell slots. The ranger does not use her spell slots. Except for Hunter's Mark. That's it. The monk almost refuses to use her key points. Like even the suggestion that she could use her key points, she goes, I'd rather hold on to them. The barbarian's okay, he's fine. His resources health. Rangers don't have good uses for their spell slots. It's true. That's true. But, I mean, there are things that she could be spending her spell slots on. Bruh, welcome Radish. How's it going? Sounds like a great time for a villain monologue at the end of this. Yeah, right? My ginger. It's fading. It's fading. It's not as orange as it was originally. But I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Radish? Yeah. And the Bone Devil thing, it's going to be an interesting situation because it's not going to be Bone Devil sees people, gonna attack. No, it's this Bone Devil has come in, done his damage to the monastery, killed anybody that wasn't gonna make a deal, turned the people that did make a deal, because that's essentially what the new Paribos and the Lemurs are, is the turned monks. And now they're gonna find this Bone Devil pacing in front of the vault underneath the main building for the monastery. Because he wants in, because he knows there's stuff in there, but he doesn't have the key. He can't figure out the puzzle, which is that star sign thing. And funnily enough, my players have the key. You know, they solve the star sign thing, and then it's like, oh wait, this key fits right in the center once we line all the discs up. Just got news that you're out of work for at least 7 days until you healed from your shoulder. Oh shit, what happened, Radish? Just a heads up that if this goes the way you want it to, it might not be as successful as you hope. How so, Meatball? Tendonitis. Ouch. Ouch. Well, make sure you're not using your shoulder, Radish. And take care of it. Tendonitis sucks. Tendonitis is bad if you don't take care of it. Like, what are you... How do you see this going bad, Meatball? Like, I genuinely want to know, because I don't want it to go bad. I just want it to be like, I want it to be one of those situations where my players are like, holy fuck. How... I can't believe that we just barely got through this. Which, again, like, the Chain Devil fight, even with all the crits that I hit, it still wasn't that super dangerous. But yeah, I'm curious what you're thinking, Meatball. Because the thing I would be afraid of, would be, my players getting to that third fight, and the little guys that are going to be wandering around the temple, they're not going to be part of the fight. It's literally just going to be the imps and then the Bone Devil. But my one worry would be that my players get to that encounter, it turns into a full-on fight, and like you said, they have no resources left at that point, and then it is just a slog because it's just regular attack rolls and slow damage, and they have to sit there, and it's like, well, fuck, how much do we actually have left? We have nothing. We've got a couple potions that we could use. We might be able to get creative with some items, but generally I'd like to avoid something like that. And actually, that said, if that combat, when it eventually does go to combat, when that combat, or if that combat goes bad, it's not going to be a party wipe situation. It's going to be they're taken captive situation, because again, this devil has a goal. The just barely getting through it part is fine, but there comes a point in combat where you normally have access to a bunch of cool abilities, but they are now all spent. Yeah. No, that's fair, Meatball. And yeah, I'd like to avoid that kind of a situation. So that's where all of this balancing comes in. I need water. Because I know how much damage my players can put out every turn. And it's a lot. Because the barbarian by himself is something like... Actually, let's check that that weapon. He's at level 2. So just the weapon damage plus that necrotic damage is 3d8 on a hit. So he's doing 3d8 plus his like 5 strength plus the rage damage, which is what, plus 3 right now. So he's doing a minimum of 11 damage, a maximum of like 30 something, and that's with one hit. Across his 2 hits, upwards of 60, or probably on average about 50 damage across 2 hits. And then there's the ranger with her 2 hits, and she's doing like 20 damage per hit. Or actually, I think it's about 30 damage for both, so averaging 15 damage. But then, that's 80 damage in one round from 2 players. And then you have everybody else stacked on top of that. They put out a lot of damage. So even though these ice golems are going to be doing a possible 3d6 with their aura, 3d8 with their slam attack, or burning their action to do 10d8, which would be fun as well. This combat still is like a 5 or 6 round combat. There's a difference between actual difficulty and perceived difficulty. A third combat after all their resources are gone is a... Right. And the goal is to not drain them of absolutely everything with this Ice Golem fight. I want them to have something left. The goal is to have them completely drained of everything by the end, or almost completely drained of everything, by the end of the third fight. Because so far, I've done a shit job of including enough encounters in each game day for it to have a larger effect. It's mostly been like, oh, here's a minor encounter and then a major encounter, and at the end of the major encounter, they've only used half their resources. Sure, a couple of them went down, but the cleric's there to pick people up as soon as they go down. So I want to make sure that that part is clear. That I don't want to put them into a fight where they have absolutely no resources. I want them to I want to put them into a fight where they need those resources in order to finish it. But at the end, you know, they have like nothing left or barely anything left. And yes, Joe, I have 6 players. The only one that I could see having an issue with resource management is gonna be the Warlock, but that's just because a level 8 Warlock only has 2 spell slots. How many of these players are new? Not just recent, but haven't played a D&D game before playing with you. Actually, so two are brand new and have only had a couple sessions. Actually, one has only, well, yeah, they've both only had a couple sessions. 2 wives and a friend. This is their, or they never played D&D before they played with me. And then one who has knowledge beyond what they've played with me. But we've also been playing not just my campaign, but a bunch of other one-shots, and we've played in a couple other campaigns for the last 3 years. Yeah. 3 years. So the 2 brand new ones I have to worry about, but it's also one of those things where one of my new players is our assassin rogue, and during a fight she started to move away from an enemy, obviously triggering an attack of opportunity, and my friend that has the experience, he goes, and he goes, you know what, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And as soon as he started making that noise, I was like, oh, I know what he's talking about. And it was her second session. So I literally looked over at her and I was like, here's why he's making that noise. I was like, you have a bonus action that you can use. You can use it to do something called a disengage. And then I explained this to her. And I was like, if you want, you can use your bonus action for that, and you won't get attacked by, while you're running away. I'm not there to punish people because of their lack of knowledge or anything like that. I wanna make sure that they are using everything that they can. Even our monk, who again has been playing with us for years now. On Saturday, she was absolutely convinced that it took her bonus action to use a key point in order to do something. Specifically, like her flurry of blows or stunning strike, and we had to tell her, like, no. You can just burn your key points to add this effect onto your attacks, or you burn a key point to use your bonus action to do 2 attacks instead of 1. that kind of thing. So again, like, my goal isn't to punish anybody because they don't know or they forgot something. It's literally just to make it. My goal is to put them in situations that when they come out of it, they can feel like they can feel actually satisfied that they did it, right? It's a balancing issue. It's trying to find that perfect balance, because again, like, I threw a big ass zombie dragon at my players that had a layer action to summon multiple undead creatures. And it was a huge combat. I had a lot of fun with it. I made a whole like set of graveyard terrain pieces for it. And it was fun. I had a blast with it. And it was supposed to be a pretty dangerous fight, because obviously they could get overwhelmed with all the undead if they let too many get summoned and weren't worrying about it. Obsessive, thank you for the follow. All the while having to deal with a fucking dragon, right? And it was a fun fight, and they felt good after it. But they still only had they had only used up like half of their resources, half their spell slots, and half their. I think the cleric only used one channel divinity. And it's like, well, that kind of sucks, because I wanted it to be, I wanted there to be a fear of, can we actually do this? Are we actually going to be able to accomplish it, rather than just beating against something until it dies and going, you'd argue this in particular is a psychology issue. Your players have learned to hoard their resources for later from somewhere. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that makes sense, Meatball. That makes sense. I think you're right. Yeah, it's definitely a psychology issue. And I mean, what video game player doesn't hoard stuff when they're playing a video game, right? Had me at Zombie Dragon and the nails. Well, I'm glad you like them, Obsessive. And actually, the nails aren't my choice. The nails are a channel point reward that folks can redeem and pick what color my nails are. You don't. Well, Meatball, I think you're the exception. But it's a meme. People have literally made memes about hoarding resources in video games, because it's like, oh, there's this, I got an item and this item is really good, but am I really gonna use it right now when I might need it later? Stuff like that. I think I might want to talk to them about it on top of trying to game it out of them. Yeah, I mean, I certainly could. And actually, I have actually. I've talked to them, and they've gotten better, Meatball. Believe it or not, when we first started playing, the monk wasn't a monk. She was playing a different character. She was playing a warlock. Never used her spell slots. She used Eldritch Blast, and that was it. No, she used Firebolt too. She had Firebolt from somewhere. I can't remember where. But she used Firebolt and Eldritch Blast and never used her spell slots. The Ranger never used her spell slots. Leaving the gym to go pitch at the softball field for... Yeah, have fun, Gemma. Thanks for lurking and stopping by. Hence in MMOs, more backspace is always a lucrative pay add-on. Exactly. But no, my players have gotten better at using their resources. It's just, again, in the very beginning, they didn't. They considered their spell slots to be emergency things. They considered their key points to be emergency things. which you can, but I mean, it's not like I'm telling them burn through everything as soon as you can, because that's usually not the best approach. But at the same time, by holding on to everything until it's an emergency situation, there's a really good chance that you're not going to get to use those resources in that emergency situation, because you might just get knocked down before you can use them. So they've gotten better, and I think the like month-long break that we took kind of ruined that a little bit, because again, like my monk player knows that she can use her key points, or at least she used to. So I'm not sure what happened over the last month, but something made her think that using her key points was a bonus action. And I don't know. It was confusing. But yeah. It's the one big issue that we always have, right? Is just balancing. And then you have to balance not just for what the characters are on paper, but you have to balance for the players as well, and who they are and how they go about playing the game. It's tough. It's tough. There's a lot to it. I wish it was simpler. I do. I wish it was simpler, but I mean, this is the stuff that people go through with writing their own campaigns or even creating their own video games. You got to figure out where the balance is. And a great fucking example of how even professional writers can screw it up. Boy, I don't know if any of you guys have played through Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat, but I have. And it's not great. It's not great at all. Fuck. I don't remember what level the party is supposed to be at when it throws a vampire at you, but it's not high enough. It's not high enough. And unfortunately, we only had a party of 3 at the time. But still, even with a party of 3, it should not have been that difficult. So let's see. One way to do this is to make it a time-based thing instead of an amount of damage thing for the Bone Devil. It's not bad. What would be how do I phrase this? What would be causing the rush? What would be causing the time-based nature of the encounter? Like every round, one captive is portaled away. I mean, there are no captives. Otherwise, yeah, that could work. Yeah, no, that's good, Joe. I like that. Trying to think of how I'd run it. But maybe what I do is I make it 2d8 cold damage. Drop the number of dice, but I increase the die used by one size. That drops the maximum damage down from 18 to 16. That also drops the average from what, 13? No. It's like 334. So it drops the average from 10 to 9. And the minimum from 3 to 2. So it's a small drop. It's a small drop in damage. But not too bad. Not too bad. Scary enough to make the monk go, oh shit, I don't want to be in this thing's face. Not too bad for the barbarian though, because he'll have resistance to the cold damage. And fuck, actually, damn it. Right there. Grabbing Volos real quick because my barbarian is a Goliath barbarian, super original, right? They changed the Goliath though. They changed the Goliath though, and actually, I'll pull this up. Where's the Goliath? Where's the Goliath? Goblin, Goliath. Stone's Endurance, powerful build, Mountain Born. Okay, so this is the original from Volos. Mountain Born. Hold on, is Mountain Born the same in both of these? Okay, so no, it's not. So the Volos guide, Goliath. No, it does. It says you have resistance to cold damage. But maybe I'm dumb and I'm missing it here. You're acclimated to high altitude, including elevations above 20,000 feet. You're also naturally adapted to cold climates, as described in Chapter 5 of the DMG. Says nothing about cold resistance. But now I have to open up a whole other book to see if it mentions anything about cold resistance. Wilderness? No. I'm trying to find where it actually mentions this. So it goes through building dungeons. Maybe this is an idea for a different encounter, but bad things that happen the longer the combat goes on makes things a lot more urgent. Just like the cold aura for the golem. Yeah, no, it's a good, that's a good one. And actually, I can kind of use that, I can use that thinking for... I can use that thinking for when the undead army that is currently being held at bay ends up breaking out and is gonna swarm over an entire city. Definitely one of those kinds of things. That would be more like, though, if the players ran into the combat and tried to fight back the army, it's gonna be overwhelming. So the bad thing that happens is the longer the combat goes on, the less chance they have at getting away, because they won't be able to defeat an entire army. The undead army is in the bay. Yeah, haven't you guys watched, or haven't you watched Pirates of the Caribbean? Angry Meatball? The zombie pirates, they go underwater. Where does it say? Did they must have just simplified it and said you have resistance to cold damage. Because the extreme cold thing says yeah, the only thing I can find is the description for extreme cold. Whenever the temperature is at or below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, a creature exposed to the cold must succeed on a con save, blah, 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 exhaustion, yada, 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 resistance or immunity, makes an automatic success, blah, blah, blah. So they changed it at some point and just wrote in that Goliaths have resistance to cold damage. Which, double resistance isn't a thing. So I guess that's fine, but that's harder though because it's kind of off screen. Yeah. Thought you were gonna say that one Dawn of the Dead sequel, Return of the Living Dead. I haven't seen that, Meatball. I actually haven't seen that. Okay, so apparently fucking Goliaths do that now. That's fine. Because double resistance doesn't make you take a quarter damage, it's still just half damage. Any creature that is within... Oh, wait, hold on. At the start of the golem's turn, there. Any creature that is within 10 feet of the golem at the start of the golem's turn takes 2d8 cold damage. Goliath's OP and cold. Yeah, I know. Pretty sure that that's the one where the zombies walk across the bottom of the lake. It might be. I have no clue. I have no clue, Meatball. But I wouldn't be surprised. Do I... Do I keep the golem with 3 slam attacks? I could keep it at 3 and drop its to hit to like a +8. Maybe that's what I'll do. We'll do +8 to hit, 3d8 +4. What we're gonna do is make the stats reflect this. And then the cold breath, yeah. I could drop this to 8d8. And then, Taking 8d8 and oh, I need the where's the wording for that spell? Chill touch, is it? No, not chill touch. Ray of Frost. On a hit, takes 8d8 cold damage and its speed is reduced by 10 feet. Actually, yeah. I think I'd just steal that, right? Rather than having their speed, just reduce their speed by 10 feet. Taking 8d8 cold damage. Oh yeah, I'll just type it out. And it's until the start of the golem's next turn. There's no M at the beginning of its. There. Punctuation's probably a fucking nightmare, but it works. So dropped the damage on the cold breath, but then added the slowing effect. Gotta get out of here for now. Happy playing. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the follow. I really do greatly appreciate it, and I hope I see you again sometime. And have a good day. Or night, wherever it is for you. Okay. So, there's that. Yeah, you'll be around. Glad to hear it. Have a good one. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. This is looking a little bit better. And these golems are very, very likely to focus on the barbarian, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue for the other players. But anybody that gets in close may have a problem. Yeah. Yeah, I think I like that. Yeah, I think I like that. And then, you know, if they save on the roll here, they don't take the slow. I'm just gonna put that in. Mostly for me, just so I know better. Even though I'm the one that's writing this, God knows when I read it, it's not gonna feel like I wrote it. Yeah, we'll do 225 on those. So here's the thing. I can absolutely see my players kiting these things around if they had to. We'll see. We'll see. But this looks better. The cold breath looks better. Yeah, that should be fine. So that should be all the planning for the rest of day 3. Although I don't know. Well, I guess day 3 is also going to be Temple of the Wild Soul. What's the environment like? where my players are at, they are it's winter time in the mountains. So they've been dealing with snow and rocks, and they've gotten higher. They've kind of been bouncing back and forth between above the tree line and below it. Where this is going to be pretty close to that tree line, so there's still going to be a little bit of vegetation, still going to be able to, like I said, there's going to be like farm plots and whatnot that have been kind of abandoned, but mostly just because it's winter, so nothing's really going to be growing. But farm plots for more hardy vegetation, stuff that they'd actually be able to grow up there. Oh, and her name is Elva. The assassin's name is Elva. And the warlock's name is Dresden. The battle map will only allow for as much kiting as you want it to. Yeah, true. Actually, I was working on this before I started streaming. Here, let me pull up a floor plan generator. So, here's what I have for the temple. if you wanna critique this a bit, but all of this space, these clouds, is basically I needed some way to represent a drop, like a you know. Basically, this is the edge of the cliff that the monk temple is on. My players are very likely going to be battling somewhere over here, just like halfway on here or just off, with like a little bit of farmland plots out here. Probably like one plot here, a plot here, maybe a couple of like one or two trees right here. But yeah, so they're not gonna have a whole ton of space. But enough. Unless I make them encounter the ice golems not at the entrance to the temple, but you know, a few minutes before that. Because if I go a few minutes before that, then I can have a little more control over it, and I don't have to have it based on this quite as much. And I could make it more of a narrow path, which makes sense for being something more defensive. Must have missed this bit. They're pretty much just defenses. They're pretty much defenses that would be more functional up in the mountains. That's about it. So and I haven't thought it completely through, because again, it's one of those things where my players are unlikely to ask, so all I need to do is kind of very, very basically justify it in my head, and then I'm like, okay, that's fine. But to fully justify it, I would probably say that they are defenses for the monastery in the event that they were being sieged or something happened, yada yada blah blah blah. Very likely activated by some object, a bell, a gong, something within the temple, and that would kind of pull the ice golems out of stasis, hibernation, whatever you want to call it, wherever they are along the mountain path that leads to the monastery, and then they would just hold their ground and not let anybody pass. Fun terrain obstacle idea. The PCs encounter the ice golems in the middle of erecting walls of ice to block the passage. Ooh. Ooh, Meatball, I like that. Meatball, I like that. Okay, stick with me on this one. What if it is like, you know, a part of the path where it's only 20 feet wide, something like that. So, you know, fairly wide, but not super wide. And they come upon these golems, and they're not just standing guard, they're actively building fortifications. And what it is instead of one singular wall, they actually started at the back, like closer to the temple, and they built a wall. And then they moved forward, and they built another wall. And then they moved forward, and they built another wall. And they've built so many walls because they would have been doing this for a couple months at this point. And that's part of why they have their ice breath, is to help them build these ice walls to block off the path that is essentially the only road in and out of this monastery. I don't know. What do you think about that? That's not a bad idea. I like that. I like that, Meatball. I like that. Now, how would they... Would it just be a thing that the players would have to deal with? Actually, it would make it interesting, because then they'd be looking at an ice wall and go, oh, what do we do? What is this? After the fight, they can knock the walls down, alerting whoever's inside, or take the chance to try and climb around the cliff below. True. Or they can melt their way through. They could melt their way through. The Warlock does have Conjure Bonfire. So yeah, they could melt their way through, they could break their way through, they could try to climb over or around. They have horses with them, which... I don't know. Ooh. Or what if it's a bit of a pass, right? So they end up veering into the mountains a little bit more. Maybe the path takes them between split peaks or something, but somewhere where they end up having a wall on each side of them as they travel. And what the golems have done is they've created like these, just a couple ice bridges. One here, and then one farther along the path, between that path, or in that pass. And it's basically like two huge sheets of ice hung up over the pass. And as the players walk under it and through, somehow the ice golems end up kind of activating those, and it ends up dropping essentially a landslide or a wall of just ice and snow and rubble down and blocks the players in. So now they're trapped in there with a huge amount of ice and snow there, a huge amount of ice and snow there, and there's two ice golems in there with them. That sounds fun. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that now. Yeah, there we go. So that'll lock them in. It'll be spicy for sure. It'll definitely be spicy because again, that pathway is probably only going to be 20 feet wide or so. And they're gonna have ice golems literally standing in their way. Either, or you know, very likely what I'll do is I'll have the ice golems be part of that landslide, and then they come out, and so they'll have an ice golem behind them and one in front of them. That should force them into spicy situation. However, the monk has boots of spider climbing. She very specifically ordered that at some point. The ranger has ranger stuff from Tasha's instead of the basic player's handbook stuff. So the ranger has a climbing speed. However, that doesn't mean anything when you're trying to use a bow. Because if you have a climbing speed and you're climbing, 3 points of contact. Gotta have it. The warlock did not take the fly spell. Or did he? I don't remember if he did. Assassin's an assassin. It'll be fine. That makes this interesting because this can be very dangerous. If I make the space too small, it can be super dangerous. I thought you were going for I am going for dangerous, but I'm not going for deadly. I might still do this though. I think I'm still gonna do this, but what I'll do is I might bump the width of this path to like 30 feet wide, and then make it probably make it something like 100 feet long. So it's like 100 by 30 foot space that the ice golems kind of block off. Not anything that the players wouldn't be able to just climb over, although with their horses is going to be difficult. But I think that would be about it. But a 30 by 100, that's a big size, right? And if the players are in the center, those golems are gonna move 30 feet. That's gonna cut it down. Sure, it is quite large. It is quite large. But when you consider that these golems have 30 feet of movement on each side, that's gonna cut that 100 foot length down to about 40, right? Because you're cutting 30 off each end. Which really is only gonna put like 20 feet between the players and these ice golems. And then these ice golems have a 15-foot cone. It can be spicy. It can definitely be spicy. But I think that size, it would allow for the players to have like a turn to kind of prep and analyze and realize what the fuck's going on. Because they're definitely gonna need that. That's one thing. My players, they can kind of stall under immense pressure. Which I've taken advantage of before, but it's been with a less deadly encounter. It's just kind of like I've put the pressure on them to act, which sometimes is just the difficulty. That's all you need to increase the difficulty. But yeah, considering movement speeds, and then range of attacks, and then how the players are very, very likely to go about this, I don't think it's too bad. Plus, if these golems march straight down the path in the middle, their aura is gonna hit from side to side on the path. Yeah, so maybe yeah, I'll make a note of that. That'll essentially give them a free attack. Or a free round. Should make it a bit easier. And then when they go, oh, well, we've got this. Then I go in and I hit them with the slams. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna call this good. I'm gonna call this good because I feel like this is gonna be a lot better. This is gonna feel a lot better to actually drop down on the table and go, all right, guys, fight. Okay. So let's look at the Temple of the Wild Soul because they're definitely gonna have to do stuff here. You gotta bail, your head's killing you. Well, Meatball, I appreciate you sticking with me as long as you did. I hope you feel better soon. And yeah, go get some rest. Go get some rest. Have a good night. It's gotta be nighttime, or getting close to nighttime pretty much everywhere, almost, right? But yeah, I hope you feel better. Yeah, that's right. This hot spring was gonna be a spicy thing, wasn't it? I'm curious though. So we gave the benefit 2d10 healing for half an hour. they get the hint of the 8-limbed like constellation. Visions of the astral plane. The Malefit. If they bathe for an hour or longer, their mind gets stuck in the astral plane for 24 hours. They're not going to be able to encounter this until this place is cleared out. That's really, like, it's not going to happen. If they try, they're going to have, like, invisible imps flying over their head. But that also means that if they do this, if they do this, might scare the crap out of them. And just be like, oh no. This looks good. That's right. We were doing foils. Almost. Kind of. As we went over things. So Nomad, if he does this, his visions are gonna be, or the person on the astral plane who he's gonna get stuck behind is gonna be a slave. Shillelagh, our ranger, she'll be out and alone. Kunth is gonna be a whipping boy. That's right. We're pretty much just gonna have her get beat constantly. Garen, our meek little cleric, is gonna be behind the eyes of a slave master. Elva, the girl who pretty much grew up without her parents, living a normal life of an ungrateful child who doesn't like their parents, and the kid kills the parents. Oh god, that's right. And Dresden. Fuck, I have no clue. I need something though. I need something. He's a warlock of an great old one. We could kind of play off that, actually. This kind of thing could, rather than give him a situation where, you know, it's a situation that he really wouldn't like. We could put him behind the eyes of some eldritch being that has more knowledge than he does. Maybe visions of past and future lives. But I'm also waiting on a text from him. So maybe I'll wait. Maybe I'll wait and I'll see if he actually gets back to me. Because if he does, that'll help a little bit more. Whatever, anything he can give me would be great. Oh god. How many years? How many years do we want to? Could roll a D100. Let's do that. Actually, I'm gonna use a dice roller on my phone. I was just gonna grab actual dice, but all of it's kind of not as accessible as I would like it to be. All right, D100 for Nomad. 72. This is one thing we did not do. Shillelagh. 37. Kunth. 89. Garen. 54. Elva. 98. And Dresden. Let's see what he gets. 57. Cool. That should be fun. And those were all pretty good lengths. Elva's is, Jesus, good God. So we have the puzzle. Our star chart puzzle, it's ringed. We have the things that are going to be behind it, like our hand wraps of the trainee, Valsice loathing, some money. Not a whole lot. Monks don't need money. Not a ton, anyway. They need just enough to get by and buy various things that they can't just get on their own. Various weapons. Some greater healing potions, scrolls of enhance ability, scroll of guardian of nature. I like it. And then our new inhabitants. These 8 are going to be wandering around the grounds up top. These 5 now, it was 4, but these 5 now are likely going to be inside the main temple building as well as down near the vault. And then obviously, because we want to be as brutal as possible, we have the Grandmaster to the temple, blood-eagled above the door to the main building. Which, being there for a couple, maybe a month, he's probably not wet anymore. No, I guarantee he's not wet. His corpse is probably mostly frozen, or no, completely frozen. It's wintertime in the mountains, yeah. His corpse is frozen up there, but it's just the frozen, ripped open body. That's gross. New Paribos. New Paribos and these guys. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, a devil that dies on the material plane, do they not just get sent back to the 9 hells? Pretty sure they just get sent back to the 9 hells at that point to get regened. Because you have to kill them in the 9 hells. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So, things we need to worry about. And actually, I'm going to say one of these is is going to be at half health. Because that's going to be the one that got away. Yeah. Not too bad. 3d4 46. Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna keep the imps the same. I don't want to change them too much. But this bone devil. So we're looking at what? 4 attacks from the imps, 3 from the bone devil. So that's 7 attacks total. Versus the chain devil fight that they just went through, which was about 6 attacks usually on average, because it was three from the imps, 2 from the chain devil, and then averaged about 1 attack from the chains, so 6. With increased damage, obviously, because these guys have more damage, or these guys do more damage. Hold on, 2 with its claw, 1 with its sting. So potentially 2d8 plus 12. This guy's got reach though. That's gonna be dangerous. The tail is what they need to worry about. 2d8 plus 5d6 plus a con save, or they're poisoned. Yeah, fuck it. That should be dangerous enough. Gave him a shit ton of health, too. It's not bad. Not bad at all. And I think I pretty much have everything I need so far. Except for Dresden's stuff, but I mean, his character was literally made on Saturday, and I had thought that he had more D&D experience, but apparently not. Because I thought he was playing with friends of his. Oh well. But this looks good. This looks good. I don't feel too terrible about any of this. Yeah. Kind of just have various things. Yeah, I think we have pretty much everything that they'd be able to encounter at the temple covered. Because we have the hot spring. Outside of that, I mean, they might find some various preserved food that they could fashion some rations from. Yeah, beyond that, it's a monk temple. There's not going to be a whole lot of stuff there. Yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot of stuff there. Although I should probably add in like a bell or a gong or something specifically for those ice golems. Yeah, I think I'm actually pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with where we've gotten. So yeah, I guess I don't have anything else that I can think of that I want to prep today. As always, I have various other campaign ideas. I had another campaign idea this weekend, and I hate myself for it. But it's this Godslayers campaign. I created the tab for it. I know I'm gonna end up putting work into it, but I had a thought of just writing up a campaign for my players to go around and literally just kill the various gods as they all went wild and started murdering everybody. So, but fun stuff. You know what? It's a little short, but I think we might call it here, because I can't think of anything else that I actually need to plan for. So, yeah, I think that's about it. So, let's go ahead and let's see if we can't find somebody to raid as we like to do. Oh, I see a couple people. I see a couple good people that we can raid. You know what? I know who we're gonna raid. Because he hasn't been streaming lately. He took a break, but he's back. So we can watch him play some Final Fantasy 14. So, yeah. I'll go ahead and we'll start that. We're going to raid J-Ron. So we're going to take his squirrel that's in here and bring it back to him. But outside of that, I guess I'll just say thank you to everybody that came and hung out. Thank you again to Gio for the raid. Joe, I don't remember how to say your full name, but Joe, thank you for the follow. Obsessive, thank you for the follow. Thank you again to everybody. Gabby, I know you're lurking. J-Ron lurking. Shiz lurking. Everybody else, all my wonderful lurkers, I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's give J-Ron a raid. I think I'll be hanging out with him for a little bit and chat him up. And I will see you all next time. Bye.